Hi, my name is Sarah Colucci, and today I'm going to dive deeper into the shadowy underbelly of asset tokenization, building on this eye-opening World Economic Forum report that was released in May 2025. Now, as someone who's basically spent years navigating the corridors of global finance, much of my perspective draws from all of the debt that has basically accumulated in the West. Now, I see tokenization not just as a technological leap, but as a calculated maneuver to perpetuate a debt-riddled system. It's pitched as the savior for our over-leveraged West, where governments and corporations have amassed trillions in debt by printing fiat like confetti. But let's peel back the layers. This is about conjuring even more value out of thin air through digital tokens, eroding private ownership in favor of a so-called shared, centralized economy that unfortunately echoes the false promises of communism. It's a pipe dream sold to the masses, leading straight to digital serfdom. I'll break it down with real-world examples of what can and has gone wrong, speculate on where this heads in 50 years, and shine a light on who really pulls the strings. So first, let's talk about what could go wrong. And trust me, it's not hypothetical. The World Economic Forum report itself acknowledges barriers like cybersecurity vulnerabilities, privacy leaks, and financial instability, but it glosses over the carnage that we've already seen. Now, here's an example. Take the Bybit hack in 2025. This Dubai-based crypto exchange lost nearly $1.5 billion in ETH to cyber criminals. It wasn't some exotic blockchain flaw, it was basic phishing and insider threats exploiting wallets and third-party links. Now imagine that scaled up, your tokenized home or stock portfolio fractionalized into micro shares on a shared ledger, and it gets drained because of a smart contract having a bug or a custodian's server that's been compromised. We've seen this before as well. The Ronin network bridge hack in 2022 siphoned $625 million, and by mid-2025, crypto hacks alone tallied over $2.17 billion stolen. Tokenization promises composability, where assets interlock like Lego bricks, but that means one weak link, say a flawed cross-chain bridge, could cascade into systemic collapse, wiping out trillions in so-called value that's mostly digital illusion anyways. Privacy? Forget it. The report touts flexible custodial arrangements and on-chain identities, but in practice, this fragments your data across ledgers, making it ripe for surveillance or breaches. Zero-knowledge proofs sound fancy, but they're not foolproof against quantum attacks, which could decrypt everything, harvested now for later exploitation. Real example, in tokenized real estate pilots, those in the EU's DLT regime, investors' details get embedded in tokens for compliance. But if a platform like a secondary market gets hacked, as we've seen with DeFi exploits, your ownership claim evaporates, and your personal info is basically out there for identity thieves. It's not democratization, it's exposure. And compliance, it forces allow lists that exclude the average Joe, centralizing power while pretending to open access. Now, compare this to communism's playbook. Now, Lenin promised workers paradises with shared resources, but it centralized everything under the state, stripping private property and freedoms. Tokenization does the same thing digitally. Your ownership becomes a sliver on a ledger controlled by code written by the elites. The World Economic Forum envisions unified records and composability, but that's code for collectivizing assets into reusable pools where true control slips away. Historical parallels: the Soviet Union's collectivized farms led to famine and serfdom. Here, tokenized fractional ownership of everything from homes to pensions could lead to digital famines if markets crash or access is revoked via smart contract updates. It's sold as equality, little guys getting micro shares, but ends in dependency on the system owners. Now, I want you to think about that. Now, fast forward 50 years to 2075, and this evolves into a nightmare dystopia if unchecked. Predictions already point to a $50 trillion tokenized economy by 2035, ballooning to dominate global GDP. Extrapolate that. Everything's tokenized. Your car, your data, even your carbon credits for sustainable living. Private ownership, obsolete. You'll own fractions via apps, but algorithms dictate usage based on social credit scores or ESG mandates. Need to sell your tokenized home share? Good luck if the ledger's AI deems it inefficient for the collective. Governments and corporations will have fused into a technocratic blob with shared ledgers enforcing global standards that prioritize stability over freedom. It's all an illusion. It's not real. Think a world where hypercomposability creates endless derivatives, inflating bubbles until pops cause global resets, wiping out the middle class. It's communism 2.0. No borders, no true property, just perpetual debt servitude masked as accessibility. The WEF's own projections hint at this with evolving market structures where incumbents like banks morph into gatekeepers of your digital life. Who controls this beast? Not you and not me. It's the usual suspects. Big finance like BlackRock with their BUIDL tokenized fund leading the pack, tech giants embedding the infrastructure, and supranational bodies like the WEF pushing global standards. Regulators? They're in on it. The SEC, MAS, and EU's MiCAR are crafting rules that favor giants like JPMorgan and UBS, who already dominate the pilots. New players, firms like Antier and BitGo, handle the tech, but they're beholden to these titans. The WEF report collaborators, Accenture, central banks, they're all designing the system. In 50 years, control consolidates to a handful of trusted entities deciding who gets access via on-chain IDs. It's simply not innovation. It's consolidation, centralization, communism. Don't buy the hype. Innovation built our world, but it's a trap. Demand real decentralization, protect private keys, and reject central levels. Wake up before your freedom is tokenized away.